Hello, this is Emily Whitten, and I'm here with Phil LaMarr at AwesomeCon, the first Comic-Con in the D.C. area in something like 8 years. Phil!
Something like.
Yeah, something like. Phil, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
And I'm a big fan of your work. Who isn't?
Aww.
And there's so much of it. I almost didn't know where to start, so I'm going to ask you, what was the first time that you were on stage or acted?
Oh, wow. First time ever was 8th grade.
Okay.
A school play, production of Phantom Tollbooth. I played Talk the Watchdog.
You played Talk?
I did.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So how did you like it? What was your experience there?
Oh, it was amazing. It was the play opens with the real world version of Talk, who is the clock in Milo's room, doing a monologue to the audience. And so my first time on stage in front of an audience was alone on stage under a spotlight, talking to the full auditorium, and it was a transformative experience. It triggered something in me that has never been the same since. I mean, that's basically the dragon I've been chasing since 8th grade. So
then, were you in like all the other school plays after that and everything, or did you feel your way out? How did that work?
Not all of them. I did tech crew and stuff, because I was in 8th grade.
Sure.
And then in 10th grade, I got the part of Bogart in Play It Again, Sam.
Oh, okay.
Which was arguably the start of my voice work impression. I mean, because honestly, I was doing a Bogart impression when I was 15.
That's really great.
When most kids my age didn't know who Bogart was.
But you had to learn for the play.
But
that's fantastic.
I beat everybody out.
That's
by
great.
Doing it.
By doing, yeah. Well, that's amazing. Now, since then, obviously, you've done a lot of work.
I've never done Bogart again.
Yeah, you haven't, no. But you did do a lot of work for Mad TV. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me how that came to be.
Well, I'd gone through the Groundlings program, so I did sketch comedy and improv, and over the course of that, created a few characters. And although I didn't get Mad TV through the Groundlings, I wasn't there when the casting people came, but I was prepared for it. From that, from creating characters and writing sketches. I'd been at that point doing it for, I was 95, and I'd been in the Groundlings program since 89. Okay. So I had a lot of experience under my belt doing it, and and it translated nicely.
So when you went to Mad TV and you had the characters like, Slick Rick, and you had the UBS guy,
right.
and the,
That always annoyed me. It's like, really? We can't say UPS?
It's
we
unfortunate,
can say UPS.
But, and so now, were those characters that you had created and brought over, or some of each? Did you create all of those characters?
The UPS guy I had done at the Groundlings on stage.
Okay.
And in fact, the first UPS guy sketch we did, I did with Mary Shear on Mad TV. I had also done with Mary Shear on stage.
Oh, okay.
And of course,
because she was in the program as well.
Yeah, right? she was in the Groundlings with me, and we both got the show at the same time. Cool. Of course, for some reason, the producers made me change the ending. Huh. Because in my version, he got the girl.
Aww.
And they said, well...
As it should be,
Of course.
I love Jack,
Everyone does.
He's great,
Eventually, they saw the error of their ways, and then they began to write sketches where he, really got the girl. It was it became increasingly sexual. It's like, guys.
Yeah.
Well, because he's just so moving around. So it's like.
The video store one is probably one of my favorites because you do the embarrassed, not quite sure what to do very well.
Thank you.
And the fact that he was kind of popping up all over the store, that was fantastic.
Pretending to rent everything except the one he wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. That must. Out of whole cloth, completely imaginary.
You heard a story once, and somebody had an experience,
Although it's funny that you mentioned that one, because that was the one sketch that I got writing credit for.
Really?
Yeah.
Only the one? Huh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, good job. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Well, that's really great. Now, after Mad TV, when was Pulp Fiction? Was that...
That was before Mad TV.
Before Mad TV,
shot
actually.
That in 93, it came out in 94. So yeah, next year will be 20 years actually.
Wow, yeah. And of course it is a classic already, even though it will officially be a classic, when it's 20, I guess, if that's how you calculate. So now
it'll be an antique.
Well, I hear Cars are like classics after 20 or something like that, and
movies, yes.
Who knows?
Are classic once
Pulp
they
Fiction
they reboot them.
Yeah, exactly. Spider-Man's like 12 classics now.
Exactly.
So now when you were working on Pulp Fiction, obviously you have, a great but not huge part, but
Right.
what was that like, and what was your favorite part, or did you learn something new from it that, you found very valuable in the future or something?
It was interesting because, I loved Reservoir Dogs, so I was chomping at the bit to audition, and I got the chance, and it was so much fun because Quentin was just so generous, in the audition process, and later on, in the shooting process as well. And I got to audition with the Jules Brett scene. Sam Jackson, has the gun on Frank Whaley,
Yeah.
and it's just it's like reading fresh Shakespeare. It's like, so Romeo and Juliet, but they can't get together. My God, this is amazing. It's like, where do you come up with these ideas, Will?
That,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing. It's the sort of thing where when you're preparing for the audition, by the second or third time you've read it through, you realize, oh, I've got this memorized. Because the words just flow one into the other. It just makes sense.
That's really great.
Yeah, it was the best set that I've been on, still to date.
In terms of the people you were working with, or the atmosphere, or the direction, or everything?
The vibe and the atmosphere.
Okay.
Which, oddly enough, I think came from the script. Like, everyone who read that script loved it, and wanted to be a part of it. Bruce Willis took I don't know how big a pay cut he took, but the budget for the movie was $8 million.
Yeah.
So he took a hell of a pay cut.
A big cut.
And again, even though, I knew going into it that it was a very, very small, but it's like 5 lines. But I also knew, well, as small as it is, they can't cut me out, or they lose 45 minutes of the movie. Where did all the
driving around, and they're
where did all the blood come from?
Yeah, they call up their friend, and they're like, "What do we do now? And what would they do if there was no?" Yeah,
Right.
they'd be in trouble. So
Exactly.
that's really interesting. So now, okay, so then you had done some improv, and you had done the movie, and you've done voice work. And we're going to talk about that. But between the 3 or however many different kinds of, roles you had, because they are somewhat different, what's your favorite and or what do you find the most challenging to prepare for, or that sort of thing?
Well, it's funny, because the most challenging to prepare for is my least favorite. And that's things that are badly written.
Ah, well.
Because honestly,
no, that's fair. That's
the most challenging to prepare for. It's like, oh dear God, how can I make this work? When something is great, when something is just a fantastic piece, it's not work. It's like, oh, I could do this, or like you're inspired by what you're given, and so that's not work at all.
Right.
And it's funny because people always ask, do you like live action or animation or stage? And like, I like things that are good.
And that's truth, yeah.
And the truth is, things that are good have more in common than just being something in the same medium. Like Pulp Fiction has more in common with Samurai Jack than Samurai Jack has with Pound Puppies.
I had a Pound Puppy once. I still have one.
They're back.
They're so cute. But now that's really interesting. Now, being someone who is known for, improv and sketch comedy as one of your things, do people give you more leeway in roles that wouldn't usually call for that necessarily? Like, do you ever go in and say, oh, but I could do it this way, and do you think because I know that happens with even any actor sometimes, you can go in and improv something, but do you find that people expect that of you or like that from you or anything like that?
At times. It depends on the project. Although the weird thing is, even though I'm an improviser, as an actor, I'm really, really text-driven. So my first impulse is not to go off script. My first impulse is to go into the script and figure out, okay, how best can I serve the writer's intent?
Okay.
But yeah, obviously there's a lot of comedy things, roles and shows that you get on where they're looking for you to like make it better,
Yeah.
So yeah, which is a great challenge and a great opportunity.
Okay, that's really interesting. Now, speaking of these roles and which the different kinds and everything, could you pick your top 3 roles that were either the most fun or the most challenging, or both? And I know we've talked about fun and challenging but what are your top 3 that you really just, if you hadn't done them and you could look back and be like, oh, my life was more complete because I did these things, or something like that? I don't know. or my career was more complete, my experience?
I don't know. Justice League was definitely a lot of fun, just because it was a wonderful nexus.
For which you do Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
Yes.
So
I did the. I mean, because I'm a comic book person, and to be able to play in that world was really, really fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
It was also made by spectacularly talented people. You know, Bruce Timm and Dwayne McDuffie and Stan Berkowitz and Lynn Yulee and Andrea Romano. Like, basically everybody involved with it was at the top of their game.
Yeah, they're basically, I mean, you know, legends in their in their areas. So they are amazing. And now you said you're you know, as I was aware already, a comic book fan. Tell me, like, when you were little, did you get into it? Did you read something? How did you get into it? And what's your favorite character or storyline?
Well, I think I was pretty much a casual comic book reader until maybe 10 or 11. Then our neighbors had a son who came back from college and basically bequeathed unto me his entire comic book collection.
Wow.
So he was like in his early 20s.
You can tell I'm excited about this. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He just like handed me this long box.
The long box, the actual, like, what is it, 300 comics at least in a long box?
And there were some amazing, I had some Mad magazines, some of which I still have, that are older than I am. And I had great old, you know, Carmine Infantino Batmans. There's one I remember, 20-cent comics. You know, and this was in a time when comics weren't 20 cents anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a wide range, stuff that I probably wouldn't have picked up myself, but I got to read them. And and it's funny because I've never been a collector. I've always been a reader.
Yeah.
And the one time I tried to be a collector in the, mid 80s, like, oh, there's these new issues of this comic book coming out. I'm going to make sure I get number one. And most of the number ones I have are like crap. I have ROM number one, ROM Space Knight.
I don't even know if I know that one.
No, you don't.
I should, right?
Don't.
But I don't.
No, you shouldn't. It was really, really awful.
Yeah.
The main character was a space robot.
Because Space Knight actually sounds kind of cool, but a space robot?
But there was no there. It's not like he opened up and like, oh, I'm a bit. There was no character. It's like, no, he's just a robot from space.
Wow.
Doesn't talk,
Oh my goodness.
But, I mean, I do also have New Teen Titans number one.
Oh, okay. Well, that one's,
so that one I jumped. That was one I jumped on. But yeah. And actually, I have Moon Knight number one, which wasn't great at the time.
Mm-hmm. But he's gotten a lot bigger in the last, especially I would say I don't know, 5 years. I feel like it's been more recently that he's gotten more attention and more.
It's a tough character, just because that initial thing's like, okay, so he's a rich guy and a mercenary and also a cab driver. It's like, what?
He's got a lot of he's a little schizophrenic in the character development,
which is what they. Yeah. And eventually they wrote that into the characters. Like,
right.
No, he's actually just crazy.
Yeah. I remember, I was thinking, and I was like, are they going to retcon that ever, or is it just going to be part of him now? Because you wonder about that.
Somebody's going to erase that. Oh, the moon came over and erased that mental disease that this hero has.
Yeah, but he isn't. But still, having the number one of that is pretty good.
Well, especially because it's early Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh yeah.
It's Bill when he was still like. Is that Neil Adams? But just really with more sketch lines?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta get him to sign that.
Speaking of, yes, you should. He goes to cons, right? I haven't actually run into him at one, but I'm sure.
He was at New York Comic Con.
Oh, then I've been at one with him and not. It's just kind of like I saw you at least from a distance, maybe, I don't know, but
he's very elusive.
But I'm sure he'll be at another one and will be at another one. So speaking of comics. I'm embarrassed to say that while I was, I was like, oh, okay, what am I
That you've never read a comic book?
No, that's not true.
I'm just really pretty. And
I'm a fake geek girl.
You are the fake unicorn. You are a horse with a horn glued on.
I exist, the the faker. No, I've read my collection is quite impressive. I actually do have the entire.
You sound like such a dude when you say that.
I know, right?
You have a Ferrari too, a red Ferrari. My collection is massive. It's really pretty impressive.
It's amazing,
you should see
dude.
it,
Bro.
but don't touch it, bro.
Dude, it's all in the little bags and boards, and if you get your fingerprints on it, I would be like Phil LaMarr's fingerprint versus a mint condition. I don't know. But I have the entire Deadpool run from the first appearance in New Mutants all the way through the current.
Really?
Yeah, I'm missing like a Black Panther that I cannot find. Like the Black Panther 23.
So you're kind of a completist.
Oh, I am. When it comes to Deadpool. And then when it comes to current runs that I'm reading, if I miss one, I go back and I get it, of course.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I'm a definite completist when it comes to Deadpool. My collection is ridiculous.
So how are you liking the Jose and Duggan stuff?
That I have to admit, I'm a little behind. Don't tell anyone. I'm a little behind. So far, I'm liking it.
That's the problem with being a completist.
I know, is because I am a little, and also I have some other things. I've done some review copies lately and stuff like that. So I've been, the stack is always changing, and I have a stack right now that still includes Peter David's X-Men Gifted prose novel in the plastic.
Oh, God.
And I got it for Christmas. Like, what is this? But no, I've read a little bit. I like it so far, and I can't really be totally, about it. But here's what I'm embarrassed to admit. I was, looking over, what am I going to ask Phil about? And I was looking at your Wikipedia, even though I know some some of the stuff, obviously. Right. And I was like,
he's black.
Dude,
what the hell? No one ever told me.
I didn't know. But I was like, he was in SpiderMan 2, which I love that movie, and I love the scene that you're in, and I was always so focused on SpiderMan. Yeah. I went back and I was like, where is he? I have to find him. This was like last night, and I have the movie, but I got on YouTube because I knew it would be on there because it's the train scene. It's like the big scene. So I went and I was like, and he catches Spider-Man. Look at that. How did you make that happen? No, they probably came to you and were like, Phil, come be in our movie, but... No,
I auditioned for the Hal Sparks part, the guy in the elevator when Spider-Man's powers stopped working.
Which is a great scene where he's like, good, nice suit, dude, or
right,
cool suit, dude. So you auditioned for that.
And didn't get it.
Oh, but then...
And then they called randomly in August and said, hey, is Phil available to work on Wednesday to Friday? For what? Spider-Man 2? Well, what part? Is it the part that he auditioned for? No. Well, what part? We can't say. Can you send over a script? No. And they refused to say anything. Like, well, what are we doing? They won't tell me.
Wow.
It's like, okay. And I'm just like racking my brain. It's like, oh, it's Spider-Man, but what am I doing? And I called my agent. I'm like, all right, ask them. Will I be working directly with Sam Raimi? Because I knew it's a big, big movie.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going in there to be some sort of second unit, running from falling building blocks.
Yeah.
They said, yes, you will. I'm like, all right, I'm in. But I had no idea what I was doing. Showed up, I'm like, what are we doing?
That's crazy.
And it turned out he saw that scene, that fight between Doc Ock and Spidey, especially with Spider-Man losing his mask and then keeping going, as the action heart of the movie.
Well, and I totally agree.
It is.
But that's actually the reason I never noticed that it was you, because I'm so focused on the whole of the scene.
And it's a fantastic scene.
Do you know whenever I watch that movie, I actually watch that scene at least 2 or 3 times. Well, whenever I watch it, I cannot stop myself from going back.
When else are you...
Because it's great.
Have you ever seen a fight scene at 100 miles an hour?
I know, and with the windows and the arms
right.
and everything, and he goes in and out of the cars, and then at the end when he's stopping it with all the way, it's great.
Yeah,
it's
and
fantastic.
the fact that it's like he's gonna stop it, and he fails.
I know.
No,
and
he's
then
gonna
he
try again.
and
it's just really,
great.
it's just about willpower.
Yeah.
But Sam knew that he needed emotion in this scene, so and he was okay. I've got 60 extras.
Yeah.
He told us, he sat us around. It's like, okay, I've hired you 8 actors. So I can sprinkle you throughout this scene so that I always have someone amongst the extras that I can cut to give me what I need in that moment in the scene. So it's like, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. That's absolutely brilliant. If you have a crowd scene, yes, you don't want to have to cut to extras to deliver the heart, or the fear or whatever. And so, he said, I don't know what the lines will be. So, we may be playing around with stuff. There's nothing really scripted, but put some things in. We'll put some. You may not have lines. You might have lines. We don't know.
And you didn't actually have, did you
No,
have,
I said a line at one point that got cut out.
Okay,
the
because
final
I was
cut.
like, I didn't think so, although in that clip you didn't, but I was like, maybe I missed it.
No.
But in that, in that scene, I vividly remember the people catching SpiderMan and the emotion of it. I just didn't realize it was you.
No, when you're not supposed to. That would have been really distracting.
Well, and actually the last time I had watched you on TV was, more like Pulp Fiction and Mad TV and stuff, and then I knew your voice acting, and so I don't think I had, connected the two of them as much. But that's so great. That,
Yeah, it was fun.
And now that I've rewatched it, I'm always going to be like, look, it's Phil.
Right. Well, it was hilarious because that 2 days turned into like 2.5 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Because we're just
Because that's a huge scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it working on the set with Sam and everything, Sam Raimi?
It was great. I mean, a lot of sitting around time because, in a movie with that kind of budget, they don't really care
Yeah.
if you sit around for 12 hours and don't work.
Uh-huh.
Like, your pay
Yeah.
isn't even going to show up on our budget. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like, 2 weeks. Actually, they didn't even tell us that it was going to be extended. Just one point, it's like Friday, like, okay, so I guess it's our last day. It's like, oh, by the way, you're on a weekly contract? I'm like,
see you tomorrow.
Right.
Or Monday or whatever it was.
Okay, I guess we're... but it was
great.
fun. It's funny because I wound up meeting Chloe Dykstra, who is a cosplay model and host. And
great. Okay.
She was 15, 16.
Wow.
And her dad was doing the special effects, John Dykstra.
Oh, okay.
And although it's funny because at one point we were doing the subway train was pretty analog. Like when the train rocked, there were a bunch of grips pushing a big wooden pole to rock it back and forth. And it looked very practical.
Yeah.
They had practical Doc Ock arms, like puppet arms that came in. And I passed John Dykstra one day on set. I'm like, well, this looks like a pretty easy scene for you. Not a lot of special effects. He's like, not really. It's like, well, what do you have to do? It's like, I have to create all of New York. And he pointed up, and I realized that the entire, 3-story soundstage we were in was a green screen.
Wow, and so he had to do everything rushing by, and when the webs go with that's crazy.
Everything you're seeing. Because actually even some of the webs were practical.
Yeah.
Like when he's holding them, those were actual practical webs.
I would think they'd have to be at least in his hands so that they would look, wow, that's
But
really...
everything you're seeing that goes by, like all of the lighting and all of the texture and everything, he created.
I find that stuff so fascinating, and I know a little about it, and so I'm thinking, how do they make his costume rip in just the right places at just the right time? You know what I'm talking about? And I'm like...
The continuity was insane. And
it was great,
And that was the other thing that was really impressive, was because Tobey Maguire was there on set, and at one point we're all carrying him.
Right. Yes, I remember that.
It was the shot from above, and we were actually carrying him, and he was so nice, and I'm thinking, if you've got me glued into a suit where I can't pee but once every 8 hours,
that must have been hell.
And then you're gonna throw me with a recent back injury in the hands
he had a back injury?
So around Secretariat, there was this whole talk of
I remember that.
And we weren't sure if he was going to be able to do it.
Yes, I remember that now that you say. Yeah. Wow.
And it's and you're going to have me carried by a bunch of fucking extras? I'm sure if I was him, I would have done it. Yeah. I would have been in a bad mood.
But he was nice about it.
He was so amazingly cool.
Great.
And
did you get to sit down and chat with him at some point?
Or? A little bit.
Okay, because I'm sure everything was rushing around. But that's really.
And you also don't want to bother him.
No, because he's concentrating. He's the main guy. He's in the main scene and everything.
And you have to, and that guy has to. You don't know what that person's process is to maintain their energy, because there's a lot of sitting around. But when it's time to go, you have to be ready to go, and it's all on him.
Well, and everyone has a different method, and some people want the silence and everything. So that's really cool, though. I'm so glad that you're in that now. Every time I watch it, I'm gonna be like, look, it's Phil.
I'm so glad I'm in it every time I get a residual check.
Yeah, that is fair to say. Well, I supported you then because I had the movie and I went to see it, and oh man, that's great. So now just a couple more questions. Obviously, in your voice work, we've mentioned the Jon Stewart role. We're also Futurama, which is huge and amazing and fun. And you play Hermes Conrad, and
the 36th grade level certified bureaucrat.
Which is fantastic, and at some point he gets bumped down, and then he gets,
Yes.
then he gets back up there.
Oh my god.
He's a great character, and you did a few of the other voices too. I know,
mean,
like,
it's been, God, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I don't know how long we've been doing it, but over the years, we've all wound up doing additional characters, secondary characters, you know, because there's always somebody else to do.
right. And now with that voice work, I have seen, I don't know everything about it, but I've seen where some people, you know, you go in and you're by yourself and you're doing your part, and then sometimes there are other people. Did you, for Futurama, was it like you each record your own part, or were you in the room with everybody?
Futurama, we do group records.
Okay.
Yeah, and shows that are writer-driven and comedy-driven, where the writers care about the comedy, you do group records.
Because the chemistry just works so much better when everybody's...
And you can't really tell if a joke works if you can't hear the lines before it.
That's a really good point.
You know?
yeah.
But people do it all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
know?
I've seen it where people are just by themselves, and I'm like, wow, that has to be even harder than doing it with the group.
As an actor, it's really difficult because you can no longer trust yourself. You can't take in the line that you're getting and then respond naturally.
Right.
You have to basically guess. It's like, well, I don't know what my response would be, so you just have to trust the director.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Have you done that too? Like, you've had certain jobs where you did have to go in by yourself, so you have the experience of both parts. And I mean, I would much prefer the group, I think, as a way to do it. So
no, I mean, it's a difference between, like, if you're writing, having an editor you know and an editor you don't know. You know, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what this person likes, I don't know what they hate, but I'll just deliver whatever you can do it. You still do the same job, but it's less comfortable.
Right.
You know, and a lot of the big companies, Disney and DreamWorks, tend to do more individual records than group reads. You know, occasionally there will be a creator or a producer who can insist on, like, I really need a group read, but generally more and more of the companies lately are doing individual records.
Right. And that, I've seen some of that because I follow the Deadpool, obviously, fandom, and Nolan North does Deadpool for things like Hulk versus, Wolverine and everything. And so I saw some clips of that. Now, you actually worked on a project with him recently, or whatever the time frame is, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
And there's a lot of really great names in there, like Sean Astin and Rob Paulson and
Kevin
Jason
Michael
Biggs
Richardson and Jason Biggs.
Yeah,
and Greg Sipes.
Yes, great names on there. So do you ever actually interact together, or is that one where you're recording your separate parts? And
No. Andrea Romano directs that, and Andrea's very, very good and pretty old school. So she does a read-through before, which almost nobody ever does unless it's a primetime show. But she does a table read the day of.
Okay.
It's just like she did in Justice League. We would start the session by reading through the entire script.
Oh, so she directed both of those?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know every name in the business, as it would be hard to.
She's amazing. She did Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Pinky and the Brain.
Yes, which
Justice
Rob worked
League.
on a lot of those. I know that he was, and did you ever work on any of the, I don't remember seeing that on your list, but like Animaniacs and all of those?
No, those were before I got into VO.
Okay, yeah, but great shows.
Yeah, fantastic shows. So she tends to do group records.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, there are directors who have 4 hours or however many hours or an hour for an individual thing and can barely get it done. She has an entire group of actors for just 4 hours, does a read-through first, and will still get you out early.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So now who have you recorded with for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Is it like
I've recorded with the gang.
Okay, that's wow. So how do you like that? And is that coming back? I think is that is it?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, well, you should know.
I don't know. No.
Oh, well.
The actors are the last to know. Seriously, if you're putting something together, the last people you call are the actors.
Are the actors, yeah. Well, because I know about the project, but I haven't actually gotten to watch it yet and everything, so I wasn't sure exactly where it is right now. But
yeah, no, I think they're still recording episodes, but maybe they're in second season. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Well, hopefully there'll be more of that, because I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Yay Big. Yeah. And so I will at some point want to check that out. So.
You should, because the people behind it's Peter Hastings and Cyril Niale family are just really, really talented.
Awesome.
You know.
Well, I will definitely do that. So now I don't want to take too much of your time, but any other current work you would like to talk about and or promote, since we're gonna, feel free to tell me what you're working on right now and what projects are upcoming or.
What's going on now? Doing some on-camera stuff.
Okay.
We did this comedy series called Inside the Legend, that's just been picked up by My Damn Channel. It's a comedy interview show with characters from history, mythology, fiction, and legend, but they're all a little tweaked.
That sounds amazing.
Like we did one where the female host is interviewing Albert Einstein.
Uh-huh.
And then she says, introduces him, and then he starts talking with a southern accent. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Twain."
That's fantastic.
And then it just keeps switching back and forth, and she's never sure really which one she's talking to.
I must see that. Now, where and when is that coming on?
That's on InsideTheLegend.com.
Right, okay.
And up now, and also on My Damn Channel on YouTube.
Okay, so it's just a web series?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I will definitely put those links in, because that sounds like just right up my alley. So.
Oh, and you'd also love this. I'm also working on Chat Room of Solitude. Jeff Lewis from the Guild has written this. It's for Stan Lee's World of Heroes.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, which I'm familiar with.
Yeah, and it's really hilarious. It's basically superheroes and supervillains on like Google Chat.
I'm in love already.
Yeah,
I'm in love.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Well, and that is also online. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And so both of those are out now or coming out?
They're both out now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely check those out, because that's fantastic. Yay. So okay, now. Thank you so much for this interview, and I'm going to do the thing that everybody asked you to do. Will you do the Green Lantern Oath for me? Will you do it, Phil? I know you did it once today already, but...
Okay.
I would love to, for the,
Okay, well, they'll pick this clip or the clip from YouTube, whichever. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Thank you so much, Phil. This has been great.
Silly.